Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
वॉचो ऐप पे देखो एक OTT के दाम पे सारे OTT शान से.
Job done, and job done quickly for England, who become the first team to secure a semi-final spot in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. That after they were the last team to actually secure a Super 8 spot. So it augurs well for Josh Buttler and his side, who can now sit back, watch the South Africa and West Indies, then watch India, Australia, Afghanistan, see how their fortunes finish up. We review what is also a great story for the United States of America in a World Cup that they co-hosted for the very first time, and we will look at the positives more than what was a very one-sided affair today in Barbados. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPNcricinfo Timeout, powered by Dishtv. Watch you. Deep Das Gupta had to rush in and find his place next to me, as did Nick Knight, because we were expecting a quick finish, Nick, but that's very quick and just exactly what England needed. There's a chance they could even top that group now, depending on how the result goes tomorrow.
Ended up there, job done. I think that inevitably there would have been a bit of anxiety, a few nerves around going into the day, but I think probably two bits of the jigsaw have come together quite nicely. I mean, the result obviously has gone perfectly for England. The performance has been outstanding, but I think for Josh Buttler to finish the game off in the way that he did, with the style and manner, I think it's really impressive. It's often Phil Salt who leads the way. Phil kind of just tucked in behind because there was no requirement to do anything else really. So I think that's hugely impressive for him. And then of course the change that they made with Chris Jordan, I think that will make the feel the setup a little bit more confident that perhaps that's the way they're going to move forward for the remaining games. Let's see, let's find out.
Interesting. I wonder, it's curious he says that, because sometimes in this tournament, fortunes from one game to the next are so different, especially with due respect. You play against the US and then you never know, whether that is indeed the right balance or whether that form will carry forward to a semi-final.
That's so true. But having said that, I mean, obviously, if you look at this England side, they were kind of started off with an extra batter in Will Jacks, and then they moved to the other end with an extra bowler in Mark Wood, and now they've got Chris Jordan, who can bat and bowl, and all-rounder in there. But it's difficult. I mean, obviously, as Nick mentioned, positives, massive positive that Chris Jordan got those wickets. So you've got that confidence, and also Josh Buttler, not just getting runs, the way that he got runs. I mean, Josh Buttler looked the Josh Buttler that we know of. So obviously that would give confidence to go in with one less batter, so to say, in terms of, let's say, someone like Will Jacks. So I think that innings from Josh Buttler would give that confidence to that team management that this combination should be good enough for the next game or slash, as Nick mentioned, games. Yeah.
Do you sense that South Africa game, one that they could have won
in
many stages, was also now not, so it might be a bit of an aberration that because they didn't chase 160, we thought maybe they can do with the batter again. But do you sense that this is still the semi-final balance they'll go with?
I'm still not too sure about this, I'll be honest, because, the South Africa game was a bit of an aberration from the terms of the approach that we saw from the English batters. I mean, English batters obviously are known for being fearless in their approach to batting. We saw them being a little circumspect right through that innings, leaving too much to be done in the last few overs, which are always going to be difficult, especially the day games on these rather slowish pitches. So, I mean, it has worked today. But again, the point that you made, it's against a side that might not be the best in the competition.
Do you sense, Nick, that might be the theme of even the team that actually wins the final? Until such time, we're still going to say, that team still didn't quite have that area covered and that box ticked or that.
Yeah, I mean, interesting to listen to Deep there. I guess all followers of the team closely have been sort of working out balance, really. And I'm the same as you guys. When I saw that game against South Africa, I was like, hang on a minute. I don't know if they're playing quite the way they want to play because we've got Rashid or, Archer 8-9. It looks a little, if we're 3 or 4 down quickly, we might be in trouble. I don't know if they were playing that way for that reason. If they were, I think that's why they brought Jordan in, because it just looked a little light on the batting. That was why I felt Jacks has been discarded. He's going to have a wonderful career, don't get me wrong, but I still thought going into this game there was a place for him. They see it differently, and they've gone with Jordan to balance it up a little bit and give a bit of extra batting and a little bit extra bowling. That's going to make it pretty tough for Mark Wood to get back in now, because if they want to go down that route, because unless they're going to go back and take Topley out of it, which I hope they don't, because that was how they started. I don't really want to see that go back round full circle. And then Curran looks like he's adding a little bit in the middle with bat and ball. So I'd be surprised if they change it around too much from here. The concern for them is, though, guys, that they played 3 games against the top sides and they've lost 2. So that, that there's a slight reality check there.
Yep, absolutely fair points, and just comes down to what we've heard so much across the panel in this tournament, that you could play a drinking game for every time someone says conditions. The minute you say conditions, so it'll come down once again for what conditions are like for wherever England end up. There might be another significant achievement here, which was not finalised until the South Africa-West Indies game. It's a hammering. England just needed to get it within 19 overs to be one of the top 2 in that group, which would have secured a semi-final berth. But that they've actually got it as quickly as they have. They might, regardless of the result tomorrow, finish at the top of this group, in which case they avoid India. Let's assume India win, or they avoid the group winner, which India's at this point are best placed to finish.
True. Obviously they avoid India, but they also avoid playing in Guyana, which can be on the slower side. When you're talking about the England side, they would love to play on a pitch where something like what happened today. The ball was comparatively coming onto the bat. So they rather play on pitches where it's good to bat on rather than pitch in Guyana, which is kind of slowish, right? One is that. Secondly, also, I think if it rains, and there is a little bit of weather around that period, if you qualify as number 1 and the game doesn't happen, you automatically qualify into the final. So I think, there are a lot of advantages of finishing first.
Yeah, they'll be looking ahead to the semi-finals. I wonder, Nick, if you entertain those kind of thoughts like us, and where would we rather have our semi, and which team would we rather play, looking at our strengths and the strengths of the other teams, looking at the semis now?
Yeah, absolutely. Deep makes a really good point there. When you look at the strengths and weaknesses of an England side, I think personally they're more concerned not with necessarily who they're going to play against, but on the ground and the conditions that ground will present them. They do not want a slow pitch. That's the last thing I think they want, because actually when you look at that middle order and their batting, they want pace on the ball. That really does bring the best out of their side. They don't want to be sort of the ball not quite arriving, not quite sure, being a bit tentative, trying to knock it around, good score. They don't want to be in that position. So for me, the conditions are absolutely crucial here for them moving forward.
All right, we saw some special things today. A hat-trick from Chris Jordan in his country of birth, and we also saw 5 sixes in an over to finish it off. Doesn't seem as special anymore, 5 sixes, with the way batting has gone. But in this tournament, regardless of opposition and etc., 5 sixes in an over is still quite the achievement.
It is, and also the way that Josh Butler, listen, everyone wants to see Josh Butler bat the way he did today. And that's how he bats. That's the reason he's one of the best white ball cricketers of this generation. And it's good to see him. But having said that, that 32 is not the highest in an over this tournament. It's the 3rd highest. So so it's not the highest. So there has been at least a couple of overs which have gone more than 32 in this tournament. Yeah,
you saw the little graphic down on the notes. Join Yuvraj Singh is the only other batter in men's T20 World Cup history to hit 5 sixes or more in an over. So well done to Josh Butler. Now we just have a look at a few things coming through on our YouTube live. Hanish says it was the easiest 30 runs in 5 balls ever, so much ease. Now I can see why people would say that, and we did spend the pre-show with Nick Knight talking about how great it's been for the US. Let's spend some more time on it. Comes to a disappointing end just in terms of competition. Do you sense this is still going to be a tournament that the US will look back with great pride, or is there still a lot of work to do ever since they came to the Super 8s?
I think both of those statements are right. They got to look at it as something that they've achieved. It's the Super 8s, that's in itself is a huge achievement, but also a lot of work needs to be done. They've got the momentum that they need. So now it's up to them how they take this momentum forward. There's a lot of chat, I'm sure, about cricket in that country, which is obviously the sport is kind of alien to that to US. So now I'm sure there's a bit of buzz. It's important to take this buzz forward. And credit to these players. They played really well. I thought that game against West Indies, post that game, I thought the wheels had come off a little bit. till that game, I thought they were very, very competitive, and they were good, not just competitive. I mean, listen, they defeated Pakistan, they defeated Ireland, 2 test-playing nations. I mean, for a team that's playing their first World Cup, that was a washout, But again, beating Pakistan in itself, I mean...
And they ran South Africa quite close.
Yeah,
that was a pretty decent performance.
Till that game against West Indies, I thought they were really good, and post that game, I don't know, looked like a different team.
All right. Nick, memories of the United States campaign, and perhaps just a summation of the performance and the road ahead, the immediate road ahead?
Well, listening to you guys, the road ahead for me is not so much reliant, dependent, call it what you will, on the USA. It's the help that the USA are going to get. I think I'm right in saying this. I don't think they're going to play a four-member nation until 2026 World T20. So, you know, you look in a couple of years' time before the players are going to be experiencing the sort of experiences they need to get a whole lot better. This is the problem with these. I feel this a lot when we do these World T20s, big ICC tournaments. You see players, you see teams, you know, perform really well, and you get excited about it, and you want more from them, and you want to see that they're going to get more opportunity. But they don't often get enough opportunity, and therefore is it making it that much more difficult for them to continue on this pathway that we feel that they perhaps should be on. So, you know, Deep's point is relevant, you know, about the fact that, you know, they need to help themselves, etc., etc. They need a lot of help. They need to be given a lot of help, in my opinion. I mean, they've shown some really good signs here. Yes, they've fallen away badly in the last couple of games, but hopefully it's inspired a nation, and hopefully it's inspired cricketers to want to play at this level. And who knows where that's going to lead? Maybe friend cricket for some of them. Maybe some of them are going to get some contracts and earn some money and have more of a lifestyle and get more of a kind of lifestyle stroke cricket professional feel about them. That then might encourage other players to want to do the same journey. You know, all this has got a potential to have a huge kick-on effect, but they need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes a very, very good point about getting help from the other cricket-playing nations. And that's where I think, you know, we can think of, I mean, especially these franchise cricket I'm talking about, the top tournaments, let's say it's the IPL, BBL, the Vitality Blast and all of that. If they can make it mandatory to have at least one member from the associate nations, one player from the associate nation, just give that experience that Nick's been talking about. Just being in that environment and you know, kind of trying to make cricket as their profession.
Yeah, I mean, we've called for this so many times, and yet it doesn't really happen in reality. So I guess point Nick makes towards the end, these players will perhaps have their stocks rising as T20 players. Andy Flower was talking about Saurabh Netravalkar in the IL T20. Now Netravalkar's quite a story. Who knows, he might land a gig in one of those leagues that you mentioned, especially given how long they go now. Let's talk Netravalkar. Do you see him potentially even having a franchise next year, maybe in the IPL?
Why not? Why not? I mean, because he's bowled well, and he's bowled well against top batters. We're not just talking about him bowling against some of the other associate nations. I'm talking about if you look at his performances against the top batters, and he's done really well. So there's no reason why he can't be in the top leagues in the world that we're talking about, whether it's in India or Australia, England, wherever. He's already playing some franchise cricket already, and few of them actually have played a franchise cricket. Yeah, maybe more opportunities would see, you know, see them improve.
Yeah, Oracle can manage, I think, remote working as well, so he can carry on with his.
Isn't he an AI specialist or something?
I believe so. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, a player perhaps for you, Nick Knight, couple of players if you want to mention them, who've stood out and you're very keen to see what happens to them over the next 12 or 18 months at the T20 franchise circuit.
Yeah, I mean, the players you've mentioned, really, Netravalkar, I've been impressed with him. I think anyone who's a left armour in particular is a point of difference in some ways. Harmeet Singh, I quite like what I see from that. I mean, there are a number of players that I feel their journey could be very quickly transformed into something pretty special. If they're given that opportunity. I mean, the one thing we know in all sports, I don't want to sort of get too sort of generic here, but there are so many good players that just don't have that bit of luck. That there are so many talented players that just don't have their moment to shine. And if you can create that more often, which these tournaments do, but then you can follow it up, who knows where some of these players can go in a couple of years.
On his way out, unfortunately, Netrawalkar not quite among the wickets today, but there was an incident in one of his overs where Josh Butler took him down, hit a big six, which destroyed or damaged part of the solar panels of the Kensington Oval. On that note, Suketu Mehta asks us this question. In situations like today when a player damages stadium property while playing the match, who pays for the damage? You guys know more than me. Who pays for the damage?
I know, ECB. The invoice goes to ECB, I guess.
Invoice goes to ECB. Nick Knight?
Hey, I'll tell you what, fellas, it's not a problem I ever had to concern myself with. Getting it out of the ground, getting it over the boundary was hard enough, let alone getting it up there.
I'm pretty sure if this happened in the IPL, then the BCCI would simply fine Harshit Rana. Okay. This is where we can just wrap it up now, shall we?
Yeah,
and look back at a rapid game on our rapid fire. Let's not forget that, shall we? Excellent result for England. Net run rate nicely boosted. You can sit back and watch the remainder of the Super 8 stage. So let's do this with Deep Dasgupta and Nick Knight. Let's start with you, Nick. How high does Adil Rashid rank among the wrist spinners in T20 cricket at the moment? 20 seconds.
Number one.
Ooh. higher than Rashid.
The other Rashid.
The other Rashid.
Number one.
He's just done
So
a mic drop.
let me
Mic
double
drop
check. You're
moment.
talking about Rashid Khan or Adil Rashid here?
Adil Rashid, number one.
He's done a mic drop moment. He's like, this doesn't need any more. He's number one. All right,
Adil
point well
Rashid, number
taken.
one.
All right, fair
Adil
enough.
Rashid, number one.
All right, Deep Dasgupta, with that 4 at the death, has Chris Jordan sealed his spot for the semi-final?
Well, it's going to be extremely difficult to drop him after picking up 4 and a hat-trick. So, yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult. And also, it gives you that extra insurance in terms of the batting. Can bat really well at number 8, and obviously he can give you 4 overs. And over the years, he's been really good in England colours. Maybe not so in franchise cricket, especially in India.
Okay. A low score to defend, Deep, you can carry on, but were USA's bowlers found out today?
Yes and no. I'm not going to be too critical of the US bowlers. I think last game it's been a long journey for them, and yeah, I mean there would be a lot of emotions involved with this game as well. So yeah, I'm not going to be too critical.
Fair enough. Back to you, Nick Knight. Even though it was against the US in a low target, but has Josh Butler peaked at the right time for England?
Yeah, I think so, a little bit. I think he might have been just feeling a little bit of tension and pressure as well. Things have been a bit like a roller coaster ride for England. He and Matthew Mott have had to deal with quite a bit over the last few weeks. I feel like it's all kind of just moved away now. I think it was very much a Josh Butler-esque innings. Hopefully he can kick on from here.
All right. No wins in the Super 8, Deep, but how proud should the US be of their campaign?
Very proud indeed. Very proud indeed. And also it kind of validates the ICC's policy of playing 20 teams because, you know, you have one of the associate nations qualifying into Super 8s and rightly so, the way they've played. So, yeah, I mean, I think, they've
very
deserved
proud,
it.
yep.
Yeah.
And finally, Nick, if you want, you could do that number 1 thing again for this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you of England defending the title?
No, I wish I could go 1. I wish I could say yes, but I still think their performances have still been absolutely outstanding, out of this world, and then they've been a bit disappointing. I think today's a big lift for them because I feel they've got a balance of side that they're going to stick with. But a long way to go. A couple of big games to come.
Okay. I'm going to do a little naughty edit of the show. You know what I'm going to do? Take that question of that and then put Nick's first answer and he'll just go number 1. Number 1. Yeah. All right. And well, England's progress to the semi-finals means that we will definitely see Nick Knight again soon. Nick, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts. Look forward to having you again, and Deep Dasgupta, you as well, as we see the rest of the league play out. Why don't you just give me your parting prediction on the game tomorrow morning? Such a big one. South Africa, West Indies. Who will join England from this Super 8 group? Nick?
Oh, good question. My heart says West Indies. I think they've got something going, but I think South Africa have played well enough to be favourites going into it. So I think South Africa will probably be maybe the favourites going in. That's how I see it.
This is, of course, in Antigua. Deep?
Yeah. For me, here at Cricinfo, I had said before the tournament, two semi-finalists from this group was going to be England and South Africa. I'm going to stick with it.
All right, fair enough. We know it's a close game when South Africa show up, and that's the next time we'll be live. Thank you very much to Deep Dasgupta and to Nick Knight. We look forward to your company when we're live next on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout, powered by Dishtv. Watch her. Please do download the mobile app. If you haven't already, we'll hear from Chris Jordan, who's had a day to remember in Barbados, and England, who march on. Their title defense is still very much alive. They are through to the semi-finals, with the United States bowing out with a lot of pride. We'll see you again soon.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
वॉचो ऐप पे देखो एक OTT के दाम पे सारे OTT शान से।